Welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Inside Track. I've got one of my great buddies on this morning, James Proctor. How are you?
Very good, mate. Thank you. Yeah, good to see you again. Saw you last week, was it? And
absolutely, I was going to say twice in 2 weeks. We never see each other for a year sometimes. So now, just to give some context to everybody out there, I've known you for we're going on 25 years, I think.
Oh, easy.
Well, must have been 98. I think we worked together down at Holmes Place. So it's a long time, and obviously seeing your career go from, because I can remember sitting with you in the office and you going, "I'm leaving Ryan. I'm going to set a recruitment company up," and we were like, "Doing what?" And it was so left field at the time. It's just like, "Have you done recruitment before?" "No, I just fancy it. This is what I want to do. I'm good at this. I'm good at that, and this is what I'm going to do." And we're like, "Oh, amazing! Go ahead and do it." And then look at the beast that you've created. I mean, it's an immense company that you guys have created. So
thanks, buddy.
No, you've done a great job. So probably the best place to start is give people an idea of who you are, what you've done, what your sort of careers, and what's brought you to where you are now.
Sure, mate. Well, as you know, I've always had a huge passion for fitness, sport, anything that related. It's what I studied at university, sports science and human resource management, which at the time I kind of didn't know why I did that, but obviously it fed nicely into where I've ended up. And yeah, look, I loved Holmes Place. I think most people you talk to, if you have that connection, it's like, oh, you worked at Holmes Place, you worked at Holmes Place. The quality of everything that business tried to do in terms of training, development, the pathways it offered, progression, everything, it was brilliant. But, I did see an opportunity. I had a couple of colleagues as well, and we discussed it. And yeah, that was where it started. And we had an idea about what we're doing, but we did just sort of give it a go. We got a bit of luck here and there. We used a few contacts, a few other uni mates, and we started to make a little bit of money. And the business just grew from there, really. Opportunities, organic. We just grew from our own resources. We never sourced any huge funding or anything like that. We naturally got into operational recruitment of health clubs, working with people like Dragons at the time. And,
wow, back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, Dragons, I did some work for them when I was a student, actually, and loved it. And then we got into, other sectors just because clients moved into different things. One of our, a great client of ours moved into casinos and bingo, working for the Rank Group.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, got a call out the blue. Can you help me work in this sector? And yeah, of course. Why not? Went to meet them and did a national project, which long time ago now, but it just set us on the way. Business just obviously grew with different clients, different sectors started coming into it, as I just said. And then we thought about temporary recruitment. A few clients started requesting, "Do you do this, do that?" And we looked into it a little bit more and thought, yeah, well, look, we can do this. And that now is obviously a major part of our business.
It's an unusual part of a recruitment company as well, because there's very few out there that do the temp. I mean, you either get a temporary or you get a full-time model. It's very few that doing what you guys are doing in terms of having that almost that arm on the side to go, we do this and we do this. There's very few of them out there that do that.
That's right. So we can cover everything from a temporary lifeguard role right the way up to sort of director level. We don't do board positions. That's not our expertise. We'll leave that to the experts that do that. But it's a big part of our business now, supporting clients across different roles, into different sectors. And yeah, the team, we've got a strong team now. There's a dozen of us. Still myself and Jean and Amy lead the business on a day-to-day basis, mate. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I mean, it's nice to see. I mean, I love it because I've obviously known you a long time. To see one of your mates, one of your old colleagues go from, what I mean? I mean, duty manager, yeah, it's a nice job, but to go from that to be probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest in our industry for recruitment, because it is. I mean, you're pretty much one of the go-to companies now. I guess when you joined as well, there's actually probably a lot more of them around. I remember a lot more recruitment companies around. We used to go to LIW, and there used to be a whole row. They used to turn up to LIW just to go for the jobs, just to go speak to the recruiters. It's the only reason I went at the time. But there's loads of it, and now there's probably 3 or 4 key ones, and that's it.
That's right. Yeah, because it's been, it's not been a smooth journey. With, certainly 2008 was really, really difficult. And it continued. I mean, look, COVID just absolutely near enough destroyed our business. We went from having, a great number of attempts at working out every week, a lot of perm pipeline. COVID hit, and we went to zero, literally zero workers out. And perm opportunities, we lost half a dozen, if not more, perm placements that we had made. And all of a sudden, to see what your turnover and your staff are not knowing that, it was very, very scary. So we've had sort of 2, maybe 3 crises in the last 21 years. But we're obviously resilient, and we've built a plan to deal with these type of things. So it's we continue. We're still hungry for growth, let's keep going. Let's see where it can get to.
Well, we can talk about your growth towards the end, because that's always a nice way to finish, to see where you guys are going. But just having a look at the market, how it is at the minute, what would you say the labour market's like, and how the finish? Is it buoyant? Is it unsure where we're sort of sitting at the minute?
It's perm recruitment is still pretty difficult. If we take just our sector, leisure, it is.
Is it opportunities, or is it just finding the right? I know, just in my experience, finding the right quality at the minute is a challenge. I don't know whether that's something you guys are finding.
It's definitely. I mean, the number of when you look at the UK, the number of vacancies is dropping, and it's the 11th consecutive period where perm vacancies has actually.
Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. And that, I think, is just due to businesses are nervous. They're not really sure what's going on. Interest rates still on the rise. There's a bit of nervousness out there. So there is still permanent opportunities out there. One thing we have noticed is that candidates are a bit more open to actually looking at vacancies. I did a little poll on LinkedIn, and actually candidates replied that there's 75% more open to look at a new role this year than they were last year.
Is that right?
So it is. So if we keep doing the work, we keep targeting people, we keep our network, in touch with us, then, actually we're having more conversations. So, last year, you go out to a short list of maybe, say, 15 people. We might be lucky to get 2 or 3 responses that actually they want to talk. Wow. Now it's certainly 50% of those they're talking. So that's.
Are you having to find? Are you guys having to go out a lot more to find the candidates now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Than you used to. Whereas not maybe far less people are going onto your site to go and I'll apply with James and see what he's got.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot more hunting down proactive work than it's ever been, to be honest with you. We are seeing applications increase, certainly compared to last year. But we are spending a lot more money, a lot more resource, a lot more money into, particular products that the job boards have. And, the old days of sort of, I suppose, taking a role and putting it on a job board or 2 or 3, and then you just sit back and go, oh, look at these people that are coming in, and have some good conversations, do your screening, select the best 2 or 3 candidates, put them forward. They're almost non-existent. There's certain roles that you will get a better response, but operational roles in leisure and hospitality, it is all about proactive work. Do
you think we've got a bit of a shortage in quality of? Because I know when I try and recruit for my clients, and obviously we've worked with you for a number of those, but it's trying to find that right quality. I mean, some clubs have spent 6 months trying to find a GM because they can't find the right. Do you think there's a lack of quality in their industry and they've gone elsewhere since COVID, or do you just think there's so many clubs that we're struggling to get enough people?
It's a combination, I think. When you look at where the sector's really grown over the last few years, it's been budget, okay, and it's been franchise. So those sort of roles that are, club manager there, sort of mid management level, all of a sudden there's been this huge sort of, growth. And has the sector actually developed enough people to then go into those roles? We go back to Homes Place, how they used to do it. You know,
Absolutely.
it was growth, but they had,
you had a huge pipeline of staff, didn't you, coming through for the duty managers, gym manager, the duty manager. There was always movement within the businesses, wasn't there? But
absolutely, you know, so yes, operators are looking at that, and they're going internal talent identification. You know, how do we find them in the first place? Then how do we, you know, recruit, train, develop them so they're going to be ready? But still, there is such growth in there, and in other sectors, again, it's the same operational management, you know, junior to mid management. And when you look at why that is, again, it is a bit of a combination. Brexit, COVID, you know, left the sector, lack of training courses that went on there. That is, we are still seeing the knock-on effects of that.
I also think as an industry, we're expecting these staff or these people coming in to train themselves before they get. So like you say, when we were at Holmes Place, you started as a gym instructor. Quite often you started as a gym instructor, stroke personal trainer, and then you worked your way up. And as you got good at it, you got pulled into duty manager, then sales, then various management roles, and that's how you did it. Same with Marriott. When I worked with them, you started as a gym instructor on reception, and you built up and you grew. But because of a lot of these clubs now, whether it be franchise, whether it be the likes of Puget and the budgets and whatever, they don't have that structure in place. So it's freelance PTs, almost maybe duty manager, but almost to manager. And you're sort of going, who's training these people to then be the manager? And then what generally is happening is there's only one place. So it's like, where do all of these go? Do they stay as PTs, or I'm not making the money, so they leave? Whereas before, I never wanted to be a PT. Absolutely. When I joined the industry, I don't know what you were like, but when I joined the industry, I went in as a gym instructor. It was a graduate recruitment scheme for Spirit. Joined them, became a gym instructor. They trained me to be a PT. Then I went straight into management. I went to Holmes Place. I wanted to be a manager straight. Yeah. So I did sales, duty manager sales, and built my way up. I never wanted. The first time I actually PT'd, and this will make you laugh. First time I actually PT'd was when I had my own club in. So I joined the industry in '98. Yeah. And it wasn't until 2015 when I opened my own club did I actually start PTing and delivering classes. Well, you know, freelance wise, I mean, I did a little bit of PT and gym instructing at Spirit for a year, but from there all the way through to, I didn't do any of it. I didn't want to teach classes. I didn't. And then I realized when I own my own club, if I don't PT and I don't teach classes, I'm going to go bust because I can't afford to pay the wages. So I did it myself, and that's that. But that doesn't happen now. You go into most of these sites straight to PT, and you're like going, how do then we get this? It's a big step.
It's a big step. So when you look at the operating model of a budget operator, there's the customer face delivery of the personal training, the fitness service. Then there's basically an assistant manager role, which is then expected to be operational, responsible, and actually have some leadership. Now, you sort of, are they going to have that? It's almost step into the unknown. You can, as a regional manager, as a general manager, you can have an idea, but it's not proven. So you're always taking a gamble. I suppose, the steps are smaller if you look at a multifaceted operator, like for example, a Greenwich Leisure or a Virgin or a David Lloyd, because there's so many different departments. People can take their time and they can almost experience a different department, a different role, shared before they want to move forward. So I think, certainly there's a lack of graduate training programs in the sector. That's what I joined when I went to Holmes Place. It was a graduate training program. It's mapped out. You're going to do 3 months here, 3 months there, 3 months there. Brilliant. GLL, very, I've come across some cracking people that have gone right the way through the ranks at GLL. They had a program, actively recruited for it for a number of years.
GM Active are very good as well, aren't they? When we were speaking to Andy King, they've actually taken on I can't remember what they call it now, but it's actually a training program that they put the managers through, and it's literally, they send them, it's almost like a little academy that they've created for their managers now. And I think that's what's needed, but it's difficult. If not everybody's doing it, you're almost going, well, okay, because they're doing it, let's go and recruit from them. And you're going, that's not the point. You should have your own training and development program.
It's not the point, buddy. And also, there's a reason why for a number of years, GLL, David Lloyd, Virgin Active had a very, very good retention rate. And I personally know, because at times, you speak to their staff and they're happy. They've got development plans. And they feel valued because they're being invested in, and they're always being, shown a pathway. And yeah, there's no surprise there that again, they have probably some of the strongest retention rates. So well and good trying to find staff, but if you can't hold on to them, it's irrelevant. You know,
and that was the great thing when I worked for Marriott. You know what I mean? It wasn't always the greatest wages in the industry and whatever, but there was always opportunity. Yeah. So you, as a manager, you had to go on, I think it was 2 or 3 management training courses, which were go stay away in another hotel and learn. I mean, I did 7 habits of highly effective people. I did all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah. And it grows you as a manager and develops you. We did world-class negotiation skills, all excellent courses, but it was more about their staff retention than it was actually, yes, you learn new skills and you had to do that. I mean, I was never going to go negotiate on some world war anywhere, but it was an amazing, I mean, the guy who did, funny enough, the guy who did it, he was out in Japan and Korea and all sorts of stuff. Amazing American guy. But they did all that, and you got that great training. But I think a lot of that is being lost now. It's almost as if I want an instant manager, and you're going, but what have you put in at the ground to make sure you get nothing? I just want, and you're going, there's not many out there. So I come to you and go, we need a manager, James. And you're going, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? We'll do our best, but it's very difficult. It's hard.
It is, and I think it will continue to be for a while. You know, if we look at what's changed, certainly post-COVID, we're going to talk about like wage growth, for example. It's massive. You know, everybody needs to earn more. You know, there's been huge pressure on the industry to increase wages. And
do you think that's happened, James? Do you think we've made those changes? I mean, you still see managers generally at about 35, 40. Is it now a sort of standard general manager job?
The biggest growth has definitely been in the sort of entry level, the actual customer facing roles, operational roles. That's where there's been huge growth. You take duty manager role, for example, in most private public operators, pre-COVID, operators might pay, 20, 22, 20, around that, maybe 23. And now we're talking minimum 26, 27. We've got clients, leisure centres that are paying 29, 30K for that type of role in London. And it's still not easy. It really isn't. Move up and look, club managers, general managers of franchise, the budget guys, they are paying upwards 35, 40, around 35, 40K now. Which is a pretty competitive salary, and then where is it frozen? Maybe the next level above. So the bit more of the mid-market to premium market. Those salaries, they're still dependent on size of business. What's the membership? What's the EBITDA? Yeah. But they haven't changed as much. And now, is that a direct reason because they were still employed during COVID? They didn't lose their jobs, and a lot of them received full wages because they were still responsible for a building. They still had to go and do the checks. They still had to make sure that, the staff were being kept fully up to date. The contractors, the tests were being done. So therefore, there wasn't a lot of necessarily movement at that level. It was all below it where they were furloughed or just let go, because there was a period when, we didn't know. And then furlough.
Well, there's a lot of PTs, and so I speak to a lot of clubs, and they go, "We can't find personal trainers for love nor money." And you're sort of going, "Well, COVID destroyed a lot of PTs because they were either they were paid or they were furloughed, but a lot of them went on to work at. It sounds really bad. Delivery drivers for Tesco's, working in warehouses, places like that, and they suddenly gone. Do you know what? I've got a stable job. I'm earning 30 grand a year, 25, 30 grand a year. I've got a stable job. This is what I'm going to do. And then a lot of them never went back. To PT. So all these clubs, I know for a fact that Putin for a long while, I don't know what position they're in now. I don't speak to the person anymore, but when they came back, they were really, really struggling because obviously they were charging these freelance PTs £600 a month or whatever it is, £500-600 a month rent, and these PTs going, nah, we've lost all our clients. We you know what I mean? We just can't come back to that and pay you that money. So I'm gonna carry on working with Tesco's, and it's
that's right.
It's difficult.
It happened not just in operators like that. It was widespread across most operators, whether it's leisure or hospitality. That happens. The sort of the emergence of hybrid working as well. Why would I want to go back to doing shifts? Why do why do I want to finish at 11 o'clock at night? You know, then commute half an hour home. Well, do you know what? Actually, I quite like this work here that I'm doing. Okay, it's not as glamorous, but at the moment, I'm okay. I'm now settled in this role, whether it's working for a grocery chain or a delivery business. You know, I'm actually earning similar money, and I actually, you know, I go to work and I come home, and then I go to work and I come home. And there's a lot to be said for that, you know, where you leave work at work and you don't take it home. You know, and you haven't got constant interaction maybe with customers that are having difficulties or that kind of thing. You know, it's happened that the sector has lost a lot of people, and a lot of very, very good people. And those operational people they are the glue that holds those operations together.
I think the challenge you have as well, like you say, with something like hospitality, whether that be leisure, hotels, spa, whatever, that people have to turn up to work. And I think the mindset of people, because of COVID, that 2-year period where we were on and off at work and whatever, a lot of people realised I can work from home. I don't need to be at work 24/7. Loads of jobs now have hybrid. And unfortunately, hospitality you can't do on a hybrid level. You have to be on site.
No, and you're right. Leisure, hospitality, there is. Look, unless you're in a a support type of role or head office role, where obviously it's a lot easier. If you're operationally, you know, I'm laughing because I still get the odd candidate ask me, you know, is this general manager role? Is this a hybrid role? You know, can I work from home 3 days a week? I'm like,
I remember we had one a few months ago, didn't we, with a client, and the lady was like, "Oh, can I work from home 2 days a week?" No, you can't.
No. But you know, it's the way that obviously the sort of the employment sector's gone. There is certain other sectors outside that you know friends are working in where it's now going really back to office working. You know, the balance. There's not choice anymore. There's sort of you've got to be in the office 4 days a week. You know, certainly for London. So I'm still seeing, as I said, the same. If the role is a remote type of role, head office role, there is flexibility. There is hybrid. And that's a huge thing to attract people to your brand as well. If you've got flexibility around that,
and because it's quite interesting, you guys don't just do obviously fitness. You guys do a number of different industries, and obviously leisure was hit quite a lot. But I think spa was hit even harder, wasn't it? Have you found that is that started to recover now? Is that in a better place?
Is the demand as strong as it was previous? I think. You know, without speaking to, again, clients on a really sort of monthly basis, what we're seeing is it's even more difficult to find staff in that sector, the spa sector. Very, very difficult. Wages have grown hugely. Obviously we had a very strong temporary spa division, which is still on the road to recovery. Again, because it's very competitive. Operators that are not moving, wages forward, they're not in existence or they are short of staff. And
I think the challenge was you had really qualified people on almost basic wages all the way, and it was never very well paid in industries. A bit like nursing, wasn't it? In the sense of you did this great job, but people weren't paying for the privilege of it, and because the profit margins weren't that big at a lot of these sites, the wage growth that is needed to attract them probably isn't there, and that's why a lot of them are probably struggling.
Yeah, it's, as I said, the spa sector is it's still in recovery. I think it's based on is London as buoyant as it was? I don't think so. Are big hotel spas that are sort of in the towns and suburbs? Yes, I think they are experiencing some good volume. But again, as you know from your background, you've got demand. If a therapist doesn't turn up, or is sick, or you can't fill it, you can't recruit those roles, you can't open those columns.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't make the money. So it's you need the demand, but then you need to be able to make sure that you can deliver, and you deliver well, because otherwise everyone will know about it, and then that will affect future bookings.
And in terms of, so obviously you've got all these different sectors. Where are you seeing the biggest growth?
It's operational is still where the big demands are. That's where we're getting, you know, weekly calls with clients, new clients, you know, reaching out and really sort of saying, can you help? There's a lot of growth in the social entertainment sector.
Okay.
So that's where there's lots of new sites opening. You've got lights of Flip Out, Boom Battle bars. You've got indoor venture golf, you know, sites. So all these sort of social entertainment concepts that are being, you know, sort of developed, delivered, opened. There's some real race to get these open. Yeah, and I don't know if you've been to them. Yeah, I don't know if you, but for a social, we love it. You know, Bounce, the ping pong in London is brilliant.
When my kids were younger, they're not quite so it's changed a little bit. They're starting getting into the escape rooms and that sort of stuff, which is great. Again, they're more sports, my lot, so we don't tend to do too many of them anymore. Yeah,
but that is where there's a lot of growth. Yeah, we're seeing almost weekly new venues open. Yeah, and we support some of those operators. And I think that will be the case certainly for the next 12, 24 months.
And are you seeing much coming to the sort of VR side of it? Because I see loads of adverts for VR franchises, and have you seen that?
Not really. Yeah, we've had a couple of calls, but not huge.
I think there's huge potential there. It's just getting them right, isn't it? That's the key, and getting people to buy into them. But it is interesting that's entertainment is the way going forward, rather than and I guess maybe what fitness needs to do potentially, and maybe it's not a conversation for this one, but maybe we need to have a look a little bit more in terms of how we make fitness entertainment and combine the two a little bit more, because we still are very much a gym, and the entertainment tends to be in the group classes. But even then, it's still more geared around the fitness than it is about the fun and entertainment. So maybe there's a sort of argument to go if those social entertainment venues are flying and there's massive growth, then maybe that's something that the fitness side need to take on and go, hold on a minute, they're doing something right here.
You have to remember, though, that the likes of Bounce and Flight Club and Boom Battle Bar, whatever it is, their idea is they want to sell you as much food and drink as possible. You know, that bit there is almost like, right. So we've got to be careful, because I'm not sure we're going to get away with saying, come to our health club, come to our health pub, and then sell them as much drink as we possibly can.
Go on, have some slushies. Yeah, let the kids have some slushies. That's the way forward. Fill them full of sugar and then get them bouncing on the
trampolines.
But it's something to take from the principle, I guess, with that, because obviously if that's working and that's a buoyant market, then maybe the rest of us have got to look. I'll tell you what is interesting, something that you said earlier about the operational roles are still strong. And I guess that's actually a really good sign, because potentially that means is the industry's going back to a more service delivery model. Because for a long time, we've been going, obviously with the growth of the budgets and everything else, it's been very much more an independent training style. So less of the staff on the gym floor, less management, and it's more you go in there, you do your own thing and whatever. So hopefully with the rise of those operational roles, more and more clubs are realizing that we need to start really pushing on the service delivery.
Yeah, I think, that's always going to be key to having a strong, retention rate. People, there is a certain percentage of membership, obviously, that just want to go, don't want to talk to anyone, put the headphones in and crack on. But actually, the large percentage of people, they do, let's face it, they want to say hello, goodbye, be acknowledged. And when they've got a problem, they want someone to talk. They do want that. Going into a reception and just swiping your card doesn't work. There's no one there. What do you do? It's nothing more frustrating. So you're right. I think the fact is we're still in a bit of a position where some of the public operators, they require this operational management to keep the centres open. There's been pool closures, there's been gym closures, there's been classes cancelled because they're just not the staff to actually facilitate the building. And that's still, I think, going to be a case for a little while longer. So the demand's back. You know, let's have a look. Let's call it. You know, the membership numbers are pretty much, you know, where they were, if not exceeding where they were pre-COVID. But you know, swim is huge. Swim schools, pretty much.
Is it?
One of our clients are ridiculous because of the pent-up demand. You know, the whole, you know, sort of age category that was missed. They're trying to catch up. There's some operators that really understood this early doors. 4Leisure was certainly one of them, that they reached out to the parents and said, look, we've got all this demand, but we haven't got the teachers. Do you want to come and be a swim teacher? You know, do you want to, you know, we'll pay for your training. You
wow.
know, actually, they had a really strong take up, and they managed to convert a lot of that demand into membership. And the swim program was certainly on track to be matching what they receive from gym income. So
wow.
Yeah, and look, you know, I've got you know, a 7-year-old in swim, you know, with local leisure centre, and you know, we're in excess of £40 a month, you know, for that. So it's very good.
There's always been good money in it. I can remember when I was at Marriott, my old Fitness First manager or cluster manager, Hayley, she left Fitness First, set up a swim school, and she's absolutely flown since. I mean, they run a lot of the ones around Derby and around there, and they effectively ended up, I might be wrong here, she might watch this and tell me I'm wrong, but they ended up building their own pool. You know, because obviously pools now, you don't have to dig a hole to build them. You can put them in a warehouse and build them up, because the technology's out there now. And they went and built their own training pool, because they were like that. Actually, it's worth investing in that than it is paying the huge rents out on all these different. I think they still do the other schools in a way, but they ended up building their own pool because the demand there was so huge for swimming lessons. They were like that. This is a no-brainer. Let's just have our own facility and do it like that. So I can imagine the big places like Circo and like that. It almost, well, if you have a look at a lot of them, I mean, the Craven Leisure where I'm at, it's got the gym's okay. I mean, it's a nice size. It's enjoyable, but it's not massive. It's not like you build the gym and then the pool is secondary. You can tell the pool is the moneymaker, and whatever else they do on the side is almost secondary to this huge thing sat in the middle. Yeah,
and look, I think, you know, you take the energy crisis out of it. I think you're right. The swimming pool income is very, very good. Recruiting for swim teachers at the moment is probably the most difficult area. You know, very, very challenging. So if operators have got their own internal recruitment ideas, you know, and they're getting onto the training from scratch, they are ahead of the trend. You know, that they are then actually realizing the potential of what it can deliver them.
Well, maybe the big growth area is actually having your own swim teacher training school. Maybe they're the ones. I mean, I haven't spoken to one recently, but maybe that's where where the money is. Maybe I'll have to have a look at that. Just quickly, because obviously we're rushing here with time. It's fly by. In terms of the sort of packages that people after, what's the main thing that's attracting people to jobs and retaining them more? What sort of trends are you seeing there at the minute?
Look, you know, as I said, you can break it down to almost two sides. There's one is attracting good quality staff, and the second is actually retaining them. We touched on it earlier, and you know, when you look at attraction, they have to have a strong employer brand. They need to give a good first impression, and you know, that starts with an easy hiring sort of, you know, application process almost. You know, when you look at a website, can I easily find your careers page? Okay, well, then I can find it. Great. Now, what information has it given me? You know, is it just a Dropbox form? All right, send us your CV. We'll get in touch. Not going to work. You know, it needs to be an experience. It needs, candidates need to be able to see a journey. You know,
and this is where people miss out. I think it's a massive point. This is because obviously I work with a lot of independent clubs, and obviously they build their website. And it's all about the client, the prospect, the member. But what they fail to realize is by putting that sort of stuff in place on your website, on your social media, so that people are looking at it and go, do you know what? I'd like to work there. Makes a massive difference. And obviously, when you're trying to employ and you're going, got a job at XYZ club, they go online going, nah, not for me, because it doesn't inspire them. And it's a huge point, that is.
Yeah. And especially when sort of generations coming through now, that they do want a career pathway. It is, yes, look, wage and package is still very high on the list, but they want to see how that company as a employer typically will be able to deliver career progression, career pathways, learning, training, all that kind of thing. So having case studies, having little video clips, biographies, all that stuff really, really does make a difference. And then that applicant is spending a bit more time on your website, really understanding what you're about, and then you're converting that to an application. That's the first stage. Then once the application is done, how quickly as a brand are you responding? Is it easy to find things like salary information, benefits? I mean, that's probably, when you talk about package, yes, everyone looks at the big number, but what else does your business, does your company offer me that are actually going to find useful?
Well, just out of interest, that's a really interesting point as well. What other things, because obviously I work with independents a lot of the time, and obviously the big companies will do all the private med and stuff like that. But what sort of things are people saying to you, I want to have? What makes that good package? Is there anything in there that, obviously nice salary, but what is it? Good holidays? Is it?
It is.
Is it private medical? Is it what sort of stands out?
Well, you just mentioned holidays. I think look, a lot of people are looking for a bit more than what the basic is. 20+8 bank holidays. If it's any more than that, it's attractive. Little thing that we do actually as a business that I know, certainly Virgin Active used to do as well. Your birthday off. Little thing, but it's huge. Oh, I get my birthday off. Wow. Okay, another day. Brilliant. So that's key. Other benefits. There's a lot of reward and recognition, apps, programs out there now where, we have one, Perk Box, and it's a small subscription, but you get discounts. You can get, a free coffee or Greg's vegan sausage roll kind of thing. And that's just a little thing.
But for the small investment of you, it's a huge thing for the staff, because they look in and go, look what I get. It's hot. Probably 90% of them will never use it. But the fact that it's there to go, look, we invest, and what's it cost you? I don't know, 15, 20 quid a month per staff. And you're sort of going, well, actually, you write that off to you as a taxable cost. So actually, it probably costs you very little.
Obviously, pensions as well is pretty statutory now. Everybody needs to get a workplace pension. Some operators offer big enhancements on that. So again, I think more middle to senior management will ask those type of questions. What are their contributions? Is it standard, or do they actually up that? We've got some clients that are double what's required, and it actually, when you add up what that is, it's thousands extra a year that are going into a pension. So that can be really attractive. Is the operator client, do they do internal training, or will they send on external training? What is do they have a specialist sort of L&D department? So they're the type of things that we are, we're sort of the questions that we're being asked. A huge one outside of that is about flexible working. We touched on it earlier. If someone is able to offer that, it is a big plus. It will give you an advantage. And not to forget, Ryan, staff socials, right? How many of them are they doing? What kind of ones are they doing? Is it, we go down the pub every few months, or is it actually, what we do is we have this person heading it up, and this is the ones we've done. So we've done Ascot, we've done Bounce, then we've done Escape Room, and then we're like, wow, that all sounds pretty good.
I think that shows more about a company's culture than it does necessarily what they're actually doing, because it shows that they're bringing a team together. If you look at any of the big accountancy firms or law firms, they have teams, and you're not talking the office junior. I mean, we worked with one in Manchester, and the lady was one of the partners there. She was ran the committee, and on the committee there was 10 other lawyers and legal, whatever they were, running their almost their social department. It was like their social and wellness team and whatever.
Yeah.
But the stuff they delivered was huge, and that was a huge part of their culture. And I think like you say, it's not just about having pizza on a Friday night. I mean, I know you guys go and do some great stuff.
Yeah.
I'm always
That's an excuse for me as well, though. You got to remember.
Well, absolutely. It's your social life on a Friday night, get away from the kids. But it's important, and I think so many businesses, they get so engrossed in work and hitting targets and whatever that they think that's what inspires people. Who actually being part of the team and being able to go out and have fun and building that and building those relationships and friendships is as important as anything.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't agree more. So yeah, that's certainly what we're seeing. Obviously, sort of finish the other point about retaining staff. We've already talked about having a strong training development plan for each staff member and regularly updating it. I think that's important. The career progression, the career pathway. You have to be competitive with the package. You just have to be. You need to be aware of what your competitors are paying and what they're offering.
And I think that's, especially for a lot of my clients, sometimes they find that difficult because obviously they're looking at it going, oh, I've only got this budget. And you're sort of going, unfortunately, the whole adage, and this, I don't mean this disrespectfully to anybody out there, but you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Yeah. And it's an old phrase of always, if you don't pay the right amount, you don't attract. So if you want the best candidate, you have to match that best candidate salary. If you're willing to take a few steps down, then take your salary down. But you can't. It's going to be rare for you to get that number one candidate in the area if you're paying number 10 price wages. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. And you can't expect people to come. I know we talked about culture, but you can't expect someone to look at your business. Oh, it looks a fun place to work. Yeah, but we're paying 10 grand less. Oh yeah, that sounds good to me. It just doesn't happen. You have to pay that 10 grand, and you have to give them all the great stuff that you promised. So I think people need to understand that if you want the right person to drive your business forward, you have to see the staff and the people you bring in as an investment in your business as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and then continue to invest in them.
Yeah,
you know, don't just lay it all out, pay them a great salary to start with, and then just think, great, well that's that. Now, what's the next one? Who else do we need to hire? You know, it's like, right, okay, that's just the start of it. You know, you found the right person. Now deliver what you've mapped out. You know, you've explained what's got them to actually be an employee in the first place.
Otherwise, well, I think no, you're right. And quite often what happens is they'll hire a great employee and they suddenly expect that person to deliver this amazing. And you're like going, actually, you still need to keep developing that person. That's how you get the growth and development and moving forward, because you're taking this great person because they've clearly had huge development in their career up to now. That's why they're so good at what they do. But don't just dump them in and then go, well, we'll leave you to it now. You're at the pinnacle where I want you. So but you see that so often, James. You really do. You see someone move from a great corporate business into an independent, for instance, and then their growth almost stops. And then a year's time, the person's going, oh, then they're not quite that. You know, but the reason for that is you haven't put anything back in the pot. You've been taking out of that person all their knowledge and everything, but you're not giving them then the opportunity to grow so that they can get better to take your business forward. You have to keep developing. And you have to have that training budget in there to keep doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, before I let you go, James, just a couple of more questions is, where do you see you guys going in the next 12 months? What's any exciting projects that you got going on, or is it just literally we're on this nice upward trajectory, we're just going to keep it nice and smooth as we go?
We're working with probably half a dozen clients on a contractual basis, which is really good for us. It means we can invest in new systems, you know, new CRMs, new onboarding processes, and ultimately becoming more efficient as a business. That means we can put more hours into, you know, actually, you know, driving again, you know, candidate attraction, you know, delivering an even better service for clients. So we're excited. You know, the demand we've never seen before. You know, whether it's permanent, whether it's temporary. We're constantly getting some referrals about, oh, this, did you hear about this client doing this? Did you hear about this council doing this? Fantastic. There's loads of opportunities there. we're obviously focused on our own internal recruitment as well. You know, we're always keeping an eye on potential people to come actually work for us. You know, we new recruit 4 or 5 weeks ago, doing really, really well. You know, our onboarding has gone from sort of initially 2 weeks and sort of, there you go, you know everything about recruitment, crack on. Now it's almost 8 weeks, you know.
Wow.
Before, yeah, it has to be. There is a lot of different moving parts, and compliance is very, very heavy as well. So that's what, you know, we're doing. What I think is going to happen on a wider market, it's going to be tough still, permanent recruitment. You know, I think until sort of the wider UK picture probably settles down and starts to improve from a statistics perspective, you know, wage growth drops, interest rates hold or start to come back, inflation starts dropping, and then you'll see clients start actually opening up and going, right, yeah, we are looking to replace this person now, or we are now going to implement this new position, this new director of position or head of position. That's when that's going to start happening. That'd be, and again, a hugely exciting time, because all of a sudden there'd be more senior roles on the market, which there just hasn't been for a long, long time. Temporary provision, as I said, at the moment, real strong demand. I think that's gonna continue for probably another 6 to 12 months. We are in obviously seasonal, you know, time at the moment. Lots of Lidos obviously open, so that's,
of course,
that's very heavy on us, which is great. We've got some projects going on there, and we've got a lot of partners now. So, you know, we work with some leisure management operators that literally, you know, they come just won a contract. Can you deliver the people side? Brilliant, great. So lots of different things going on, Ryan, to be honest, which is, yeah, keeps us interested, keeps us busy.
Oh, absolutely. And then one final question, which we ask all of our guests, in terms of what inspires you, James. What gets you personally up in the morning to do? I mean, you've got this great business, 21 years. It's done really well up to now, and obviously long may that continue. But what inspires you to get up and do what you do?
I'd say people I work with, my team, I generally do enjoy going to work to see them. You know,
it does help.
They are a pretty good bunch, which again, you know, I think you have to, you know, be conscious of that when you're recruiting. You know, do you like that person? You know, can you see yourself? Yeah, hopefully they challenge you in a few ways. I think that's positive.
I think so.
You know, and I've always said I don't mind that. You know, if people have got ideas or they don't like the direction of something or they don't think it's going to work, then yeah, just voice it, bring it on. So that's what it does. Look, I'm excited by what could be over the next 12 months. You know, different operators growing, different sectors. I think that's really interesting as well. And yeah, that's probably it, really, buddy.
Fantastic. And in terms of, because obviously we'll put all your contact details at the end of this. But is there any particular, if anyone's watching this and sort of going, okay, what's James looking for at the minute? What's if you've got some things that you sort of going, we've got some great roles out there. Just quickly while we're on, what the sort of, you don't have to name the roles as such, but what sort of people are you short of and that you really want to speak to at the minute?
Look, we're happy to speak to, you know, as you know, anyone really. And look, roles are in particular locations, so you know, it's always a mismatch from time to time. You've got great roles in this location and you've got no candidates, whereas you've got loads of candidates in this location and no jobs. So that's permanent. That's recruitment. We're always waiting for or hunting down a role because you've got a great candidate in that area. Yes, at the moment we've got a really good range, actually. You know, right from roles within holiday parks, you know, health clubs, you know, actually marinas as well, one of our clients. You know, through to clinics. It's quite diverse. We've got a couple of senior roles at the moment, probably actually more than a couple. I'd say 4 or 5. Head of sales, you know, group manager's role, regional manager's role in London. A couple of big holiday park GM positions. So there is yeah, some good pipeline at the moment. And as I said, we're always happy to chat to candidates and give them some feedback on maybe why they're not right for that role, but this is the role that perhaps they could be right for.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll put all your details at the end. So if anybody is interested, wants to get in touch with it, I would always recommend you guys. One, because obviously we've known each other a long time, but secondly, because I think you do a great job. It's not. I would never recommend any friend or not if you're rubbish at what you did. So I think you guys do a great job. And I think if anyone's looking for a role, or if they're a club that's looking to put someone in, I would honestly say if someone's looking to employ a general manager or that senior operational role or whatever, as a minimum they should speak to a recruitment company, and more you guys. Obviously if it goes further down, then you can try and find candidates yourself. It's a little bit easier potentially, but I would always come and speak to you guys to see what you can do. It's not as expensive as what people think either. We won't go through the rates now on here, but I think sometimes people think recruitment is an expensive game, but you got to think of the benefits. Yes, you clearly have to pay, but think of the benefits of what you get with having a great candidate and being able to drive your business forward. One, you recruit faster, in my experience, so you're not going longer periods without that position filled. But secondly, you get the right candidate. So although you pay out for that, you've got the right candidate and it pays for itself over the long term anyway. So absolutely use recruitment companies. But I really appreciate your time this morning, James. I know I've been bugging you for probably from series 1 all the way through to now to get you on. So finally I've managed to get you on, which is awesome. So I really appreciate your time. If anybody's got any questions, reach out to James. Otherwise, I appreciate your time, and we will catch you again soon, James.
Cheers. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.